Okay, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Monday meeting of the BOCC. Looks like we're on the 10 o'clock agenda going to item review, and the first name I see is Carter.
Good morning.
Morning.
So in front of you, you should have a copy of our interlock agreement with Wahkiakum County. Last week, I went over there and was able to be present with Dan Bigelow as he presented it to his Board of Commissioners. And they're very appreciative of what we've come up with and being able to assist them with what they are needing to be assisted with due to the new legislation for taking prosecutors away from being coroners. So in front of you is what our prosecutor, our prosecutors and their prosecutors have put together for the interlock agreement of what we're able to provide to them. So basically it's our services as me as the coroner and my office being able to provide the services for them. They're just under 5,000 and they don't have all that many call outs a year. So it's not going to be not much more call load than than what we have here. We're not going to be taking on that much more. And then the proximity is not going to be, that much more of a time than what we, say going to Cougar or to Riderwood or whatever. So it's not going to take that much more of our time out. And then we have different tiers and stuff that we've kind of come up with for reimbursement. So we would basically be charging them per call, and it would just all be getting reimbursed per that, and then mileage and stuff like that. So
Did I read a $5,000 flat fee each year just for administrative?
in the beginning, and that would be covering like office stuff
Right.
and yeah, that type of stuff.
Okay.
And then for call wise, that's basically utilizing, for our vehicle, gas, so the mileage, and then how much we pay our deputies,
Yeah.
call wise, and yeah, so everything would be.
And just for public that might be listening in, you are?
What was that?
For the public that might be listening in, you are?
Oh, Dana Tucker, Cowlitz County Coroner, sorry.
Sorry. Thank you. This isn't any surprise. We've been talking about this, and we knew with that legislation that some of these smaller entities were going to have to need some help or look for some.
Yeah, so legislation, I don't think I have the bill number on here, but legislation put in the new legislation took where the prosecutor coroners are no longer able to serve as prosecutor and coroner. So the smaller counties have to either contract with another coroner county, or they have to appoint a coroner into their county themselves, which is going to be very cumbersome for their budget and all of that. So Dan Bigelow had approached me in the very beginning talking about this, and so we've been going back and forth regarding this.
Pacific County eligible for that or are they too big?
No, Pacific County is a prosecutor coroner county, and from what I understand, they are talking about having they're talking about appointing a coroner themselves. So, but we do their autopsies. We always have, so we'll still be doing that. But as far as I know, and I haven't heard anything different, that they're going to appoint a coroner. So, but we are too far away to take over, do an interlock like Wahkiakum County.
Yeah, doing
so.
some of the administration type stuff like you'll be doing for Wahkiakum. Yeah.
Yeah, we would be covering everything for Wahkiakum.
Pacific County is kind of unique. The northern half of the county really identifies with Grays Harbor County.
Yeah.
And the southern half, of course, Long Beach Peninsula,
Yeah.
they're more identified with us on the Columbia River, but
yes,
it is a ways away. Yeah.
Yes.
So I do like this signature block includes everybody. Am I to assume that our PA has reviewed everything and there
Yeah.
are no outstanding issues?
No, he's the one that our PA is the one that put this together.
Okay.
Yep. So, and I don't have the signed copy from Wahkiakum. Yeah, but they've signed it. They signed it last week, so we should be getting that one over.
Great.
So, any questions?
Okay. I don't see anything else.
Oh.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I see Health and Human Services, Gina. Is that you online today?
Hey, good morning. Yes, Gina James, Health and Human Services. We just have one item on the consent agenda tomorrow. It's a request for proposals regarding coordinated entry access points. I talked to the board about this a couple weeks ago. We haven't done a request for proposals for this for a couple of years, so it's just sort of time. We've had a couple agencies asking, so it's scheduled to be posted tomorrow. It'll be open until December 5th.
So how many do we have right now?
Right now we have 3 access points that we work with: the community house, family health center, and emergency support shelter.
And it sounds like we have others that are interested in doing that too.
We do. There's been
Okay.
a couple agencies that have asked when the next RFP will be open. Like I said, we haven't posted an RFP for this for, I think, 4 or 5 years.
Okay.
So it's kind of time, and we'll see what comes in, and have to really take a look at how many access points we're interested in and what that looks like.
Yeah. So this doesn't guarantee anything. It just gives us a group of agencies to pick from and how many we think is reasonable.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
So Gina, I am a little bit curious about how the financing will go. If we have additional access points, are you dividing the pie into smaller pieces? Is it a set dollar amount that all the applicants apply? Because after all, should be a reflection of the need, X number of homeless, and there hasn't been great increases in numbers, just increased number of agencies providing services. So.
Yeah, so there's not necessarily a set dollar amount for coordinated entry. I would like to use less of our document recording fees and more of our state grant, as we've had those conversations a little bit. Part of agencies submitting a proposal to this will include a budget. And so that's one thing that we will certainly look closely at and determine. And that's one of the questions as we, have the conversations about moving forward is what is the cost? What are they proposing? And we can always negotiate that as well. So that's, There's not necessarily a set amount, but something we'll be taking a close look at, and we can negotiate that cost as we move forward.
Now, I may be making an assumption that we haven't had a great increase in the number of homeless. Have you seen numbers going up dramatically since we set this process in place?
No, it's actually, we've kind of averaged about the same over the last several years. So, it hovers around the 1,000 to 1,200 individuals that connect with coordinated entry each year.
So we shouldn't necessarily need to expect increasing expenditures. The shift of funding sources, I'm okay with, but we don't necessarily need to be spending more money if it's roughly the same number of people.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So I'll ask you now, and I might ask you tomorrow, what is the metric you would use? It's easier to see this when you're doing a construction job. How will you decide between the respondents?
So some might propose to serve certain populations of people. So that's one thing we will look at. So emergency support shelter, for example, serves a specific population. And that seems to be valuable, and certainly want the individuals they serve to have, that easy access and connection to coordinated entry. We'll look at, who they intend to serve, what the model kind of looks like, and what they're proposing. Will it be kind of built in and around their existing programs and services? Will they propose that it's sort of a standalone? So there's a couple different ways we would look at it, and it's sort of.
If I could interrupt you on that
Mhm.
last one, I'm a little, the idea of coordinated entry isn't to sell your own wares, right?
No.
That is correct. You're there not to sell your company, but you're there to serve the client and direct them to whatever resources are applicable.
Yes.
So that sort of contradicts what you just said. And it's.
Well, I think about like built in with their programs or.
Right.
Okay. And what I mean by that is, and we've kind of seen it both ways over the years, where you might have one staff person who does coordinated entry activities, but they also work in other programs within the agency. So it's sort of, it's not necessarily like a one dedicated staff that only does coordinated entry, but it's intermingled with some of the other programs. So I didn't mean that to say they're, promoting getting people into just their programs. It should be any resources that would help. It's just different models of staffing and things like that.
Yeah, it seems like you're going to have a really hard time trying to decide if you had half a dozen respondents and you think 3 is the right number. Bless you. I'm not sure how you're going to decide how to do that. And the dollars, those are, have we consumed all the dollars that are in that pool?
When we look at the contract amounts with the 3 agencies we've historically come under, have been underspent in the contract amount. So it hasn't, I think between the 3 agencies, just the contract amounts are about $142,000 between all of them. And we've historically have been under that.
And is this more like an RFQ than an RFP?
This is an RFP.
Are we saying we will do it for $5 and somebody will say we'll do it for $3.50?
They will include a budget and an estimated cost. Yeah.
In the past, when we've had the 3 that we currently have, have we looked at the money specifically per event type thing?
Per event, per person or per.
You pick. I am ignorant as to what would make more sense.
Yeah, yes, we do look at the funding per items. We could look at it per person or per assessment. We start getting into some different variables that then can change. One person, for example, might take a half an hour of time. Another person might take 2 hours of time. And so, we start running into those types of variables.
And what's really interesting then would be how if someone takes 2 hours, maybe that's appropriate as opposed to the half hour. And you've got to
Yep.
decide that, right?
Yes.
Okay, and when the contracts are written, do we always have an escape clause in there, true?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
So Gina, one of the things I've always wondered about with these assessments is the end product for each individual that is assessed. Do they end up with a suggested plan, strategy, improvement plan? Here are the things that we recommend that you do to get you out of homelessness, or does it get that specific at all?
So each individual will receive a list of resources. When they connect with an access point, the staff will go through that list with them and help them identify what may be of benefit to them depending on their situation. So they do have that conversation and go through and identify resources that might be helpful or applicable to their current situation. And then it's up to the individual to pursue those resources kind of on their own. But they do leave with that information of what the resources are, the contact information, that type of thing.
Okay, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any idea of who the agencies are that might be interested or that you're hoping will make an application in addition to the 3 we already use?
The 3 we already use, the agencies that have asked in this last year or so, Lower Columbia CAP and Janus Youth have both asked about when an RFP may be opening. So those are the 2 that have had questions about it.
I would think Salvation Army might be one that's interested since they're dealing with people kind of already in the system. But I don't know. And nothing from Family Promise. They're also accessing a different type of homelessness.
Yeah, and a lot of agencies do a really good job at connecting the individuals they're serving to resources already. And so, we encourage them to do that outside of coordinated entry too, just to connect them with whatever resources might be helpful. So a lot of agencies are really good at that. The piece that coordinated entry, that extra thing that coordinated entry offers is there may be a referral to housing at some point, but they're few and far between. There's just not a lot of openings that we find in the various programs to be able to refer people into. So.
And I know that Frank Morrison has done a lot to expand his services to youth. Not only the activity center in the old Cortons building, but they just are in the process. They're just about ready to open up Beth's place. That's the youth shelter. Do you know if Community House includes those 2 programs in their assessment program, or is it just those who are at the old Broadway Hotel?
Right now, it's primarily the shelter and the chest facility. The programs that coordinated entry refers to are adult programs primarily. And so it is a little bit different when we start talking about youth under 18. So that gets a little trickier.
Okay. It's up to them to reach out. Okay. All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't
Okay.
see anything else. Thanks, Gina.
Thank you. I'll see you tomorrow.
Okay.
So were we going to review the health board agenda as part of this review, or? You do meet with them tomorrow.
Do I have the health board agenda?
It was in our packet.
Yeah, we can get through public works and under miscellaneous.
Okay.
Public works.
Good morning, Commissioners. Sean Rowe, Public Works. With me here is Ashley Clausen, Purchasing. First item we wanted to talk to you on today is a call for bids. This is for on-call trade services. This includes both carpentry, flooring, electrical, glass, HVAC, painting, plumbing, and things of that nature. I think we have 11 categories in total. With some of the purchasing changes through the state, it's come to our attention that we have a need for on-call services. Previously, we were able to find an issue with a need, get 3 bids, find that lowest bidder, and have them correct the issue, usually about a week turnaround time. Now we have a issue that's a prevailing wage public work job. We would have to create a scope, send it out to the small works roster, usually for 2 to 3 weeks, get that back, award it, and then start the project. And so we're delaying ourselves out to about 4 to 5 weeks to get a simple job taken care of. And that's why we're looking for these items coming up here.
So this is in response to legislation that's come upon us. And so if we set up these on-call services with, you said like 11 different trade agencies or whatever, we still will be able to keep the time frame down.
100%.
Just have to have them set up ahead of time.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yeah. Sounds pretty reasonable.
All right. Thank you very much.
We should ask Ashley a question.
Oh, yeah,
since-
yeah, go ahead.
How do you like this?
How do I like this?
Yeah,
Ashley Clausen Purchasing Services. I like this idea because it cuts down on the time frame. Now, for instance, we have a storm that comes through. West Longview loses a bunch of trees. Those staff don't now have to stop, get their bids, go out and do the entire process. They can come to purchasing services with a quote. We can run it through, issue a task order, and it's done.
so that should translate into cost savings as a tangible cost, and intangible, it gets the job done
Yes.
earlier.
Yes.
Thank you.
Time is money.
A win-win, I guess.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
So we also have the guardrail thing? Oh, that's the other part of Public Works. Oh.
Good morning, Susan Eugenius, County Engineer. Yeah, they didn't want to do my guardrail project. So the other item we have was a motion on the motion agenda tomorrow. It is the prospectus and local agency agreement supplement number 1 for the countywide guardrail project. This project is for new guardrail, new and upgrading end sections that no longer meet current standards. We have our list all ready to go, the state preliminary approval on our specs. So this is to obligate the funding in amount of $537,200 to install new guardrail.
Are these bicycle-friendly guardrails? Just say yes.
As friendly as any guardrail can be to bicycles, yes.
Thank you.
You said it was, they were for new?
For new, this is a new installation project. We run a separate project, which is county-only funds for replacement.
Okay.
And that one should be coming out to bid in the next few weeks so that we can go out. We have a big, long list of locations that have been hit.
I was gonna say, I've been noticing smashed guardrails.
Yes.
A fair number, yeah. How do you decide what gets a new guardrail?
So we have this complicated priority array where we have hundreds of locations, and it's based on the steepness of the slope, how high the slope is, what's at the bottom of the slope. For example, if it's a 10-foot drop, especially if there's a creek or something else, a river at the bottom, it's more likely to get a guardrail than a gentler slope 3-to-1 there's no trees and there's nothing dangerous at the bottom. So we're looking for locations where you're more likely to get injured and killed when you go off. There is a recoverable slope that the slope is 4-to-1 is recoverable, which means you can steer back up it. 3-to-1 is traversable, which means if there's nothing in the way, you can keep going. Anything steeper than that, you have little control, no control on it. But we're looking at places. So what in the past 4 years, I can think of 3 instances where people went off the road. One went into Goble Creek, and then 2 others were caught by trees, or they would have gone into the Kalama River.
So you have a tool that helps you with this?
We have a wonderful spreadsheet that we put in all the different information and then ranks them, gives them a score, then we rank them by priority. We will be, so let's say we have a lot of locations on Little Kalama River Road, and there's one on that stretch that's not in the top 20 locations, and that's the number we're doing. We may take one that's at like 30 and add it on just for the convenience of the project to do more straight runs for dollar efficiency. But we do highest priority first.
There's no criteria for the location of county employees.
No, there's no criteria for location of county priorities. There's ADT is in there, slope steepness and hazards and embankment height. And I'm sure there's something else I'm forgetting, but those are the main criteria.
Do low priority items have an algorithm to mature and eventually get done, or they'll always be bumped?
They have the potential to get to mature and rank higher if we get everything else done. All the
As a
ones that are higher.
As a synergistic manner, if we're there, the low priority, convenient, we're there, we fix it.
Yeah.
Okay, we do it.
And then in theory, if we fixed all of if we did 50 every year, in theory, we would eventually reach the bottom of the list.
Well, there's a famous problem, of course.
It's that whole, the
Yeah.
closer you get,
That's the starvation algorithm problem. But who's the maven of the spreadsheet?
who's the maker?
The expert on it.
So the expert currently is, you won't want me to get out his name, but the current expert is Chris Andrews. And he is the keeper of that spreadsheet. He's been the keeper of that for a while. We have been looking at other jurisdictions, mainly Spokane, I believe. He found their priority array and he likes some of the things in there better than what's in ours. So he's thinking about tweaking it a little. We've been discussing that.
Okay, if you lose Chris Andrews, do we know how to manage that spreadsheet?
Yes, actually you do, because Chris Andrews has been teaching Ron Borsar, our youngest engineer,
Good,
how to
okay.
use it. So
This sounds like an opportunity for a future AI project too.
yes, when I get brave enough to try that.
Well, as long as it comes from a reputable company like what, Oracle? Didn't they do PeopleSoft?
No, as long as it comes from a reputable individual like our county engineer.
There you go.
Okay, I don't see anything else. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I do have one thing to bring up for Public Works, and that is we have received an application from, for an paper, large industry representative to SWAC. I don't know if you're aware, but his email says NORPAC. Have you had any communication with folks on that?
I've not had any communication with anyone from NORPAC on the
Okay.
SWAC committee.
No, that's the only one we've received so far from big industry, from large industry. Have you had a chance to look at it? I mean, we just got it last week, so. I'm okay with going forward with it. I think industry needs to have that spot taken care of.
Yeah, I'm okay with that too.
Yeah, I don't have,
All right.
So does that mean we have all 9 slots
Is
filled?
that the last one we were lacking?
agriculture.
Oh, agriculture is short, yeah.
It could be any type of agricultural work, composting, farming,
Yeah,
conservation, anything of that nature.
okay, anything else? Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
We do have Board of Health tomorrow at 10. The chairman did provide us with their agenda. Looks like old unfinished business. He does want to talk about bylaws update. He has on here school garden project, water testing, and youth substance abuse prevention. He's got 4 main items: bylaws update, school garden project, water testing, and youth substance abuse prevention. That's that's the agenda for tomorrow. For the 10 o'clock meeting.
And the youth substance abuse might end up with a request for the use of some of the opioid dollars that we're collecting. That's what they may be talking about. All right, thank you.
Any other miscellaneous?
Nope.
Okay. See, do you want to head right into human resources, Jessica? Do you have time or are you?
Good morning, Jessica Warren, Human Resources. I have a couple requests for you this morning. First comes from the Assessor's Office. Their GIS Specialist 3 is retiring. She's going to be using leave through December 3rd, so they're requesting overlap on this position once it's filled, which would be for about 2 weeks.
Is the expectation that it will be filled in-house?
That is the expectation, yes.
I'm good with it.
I think that's good to have a little bit of an overlap on something like that. It's kind of technical.
I didn't realize we had a surplus of GIS in-house.
I believe there's been some in-house training going on.
Oh, okay, good.
Okay.
And then the next request comes from OAS, Office of Administrative Services. They're requesting to reclassify their accounting specialist 2 to an accounting specialist 3, which would be a 5% increase.
We had talked about that sometime in a not too distant past.
Yeah, we workshopped it.
Yeah,
That's last week, I think, wasn't it?
good with that.
Okay.
Good
And
with that.
then last item I have is a request for an executive session under collective bargaining.
I'm not okay with that.
Okay.
All
time frame?
10 minutes.
10 minutes? Okay, so we'll go to executive session, collective bargaining for 10 minutes. Okay, back from executive session. No decisions were rendered. Anything else? Okay, I'm not seeing any. Tomorrow we'll start up at 9 o'clock with the public meeting. Till then, we're adjourned.